The AI economy has changed what's possible for small and medium businesses. Access to tools, knowledge and expertise has never been greater, but access is no longer the advantage. The real difference now is in your capability, your human, leadership, business and digital capabilities, and that's what this podcast is all about. This is Make Time for business owners who want to lead rather than be led. No one really prepares you for what running a business is like. Those in secure jobs may look at you with envy, and yet most days you're stretched thin with a mountain of a to-do list and fires you need to put out that come with no warning. AI feels like another fire. Every week someone else is talking about something else you have to do with AI, or there's a new tool that will fix your business challenges, a new blueprint that will get the exact results you need, or a new right way to use AI in business. And it makes a little voice in your head say, I'm falling behind. If you're a small business owner with 8 things on the to-do list, people relying on you for income, no clear week ahead, no time to think, let alone strategize, that voice can be the loudest thing in your head. Welcome to Make Time. In this episode, I'll offer a new way of looking at that same moment and help you feel like you're moving forward. But first, I want to reassure you, and I'm sure of it, you're not behind. I'm Sam Hurley, CEO of 25/8, and I'm passionate about helping you and your business to thrive. And thank you for joining me on the episode this week. So why am I so sure of it? In Deloitte's 2026 State of AI report, adoption is up. A lot of people are using generative AI tools like ChatGPT and Claude. In fact, generative AI reached 53% population adoption within 3 years, which is faster than the PC or internet. But despite high usage, according to Deloitte, 37% of companies are only using AI at basic service level. Only 30% are truly transforming their business models. McKinsey captured another pattern. Most organizations are not getting the value they thought AI would deliver. McKinsey calls this the value realization gap. The deployment is happening, but outcomes are not at the rate the adoption curves would predict. And I believe that gap isn't the tool or access or confidence to use, it's a capability problem. Pfeffer and Sutton wrote a book back in 2000 called The Knowing Doing Gap. Their argument was that organizations consistently know what they should do. There's no shortage of research or frameworks or meetings or best practice, but they don't consistently do it. Knowledge doesn't translate into action without the underlying capability and the underlying conditions. And I think the same is happening here with AI as well. So what this means is that AI adoption isn't the issue, it's the capability to read your business clearly, decide what AI is actually for in your context, and integrate it as a layer in coherent thinking. Without that, more AI tools just add more complexity rather than output. If you've been using AI and feel that AI hasn't delivered what you were promised, you're not alone. The research says you're not the exception. If you haven't been using it or have just got started, you might feel like you're really late, but you're not. Most people aren't really using it intentionally or designing their business with AI in mind. Depending on your social media channel of choice and the algorithms, you may see a suite of business gurus aggressively adopting AI tools, automating their workflows, 10xing their output, and suggesting everyone else is a step behind. Catch up or be left behind. The window is closing. And whilst this is mostly noise because it conflates two completely different things, speed of adoption and depth of capability, and it treats one as proxy for the other. Speed does not substitute capability. I would caution that if you haven't done so already, you probably do need to be thinking about how AI will fit into your business. Speed of AI adoption tells you how many tools someone has bolted onto their existing way of working. Depth of capability tells you whether the underlying business can absorb those tools and turn them into outcomes worth having. Really, you need both. These can come apart in practice. There could be a business right now with 11 AI subscriptions, but their team is more confused about how to do their job and what they should be focusing on rather than less. There may be others with no AI subscriptions and a clear-eyed view of what they're building in their business, a depth of understanding of their customers, how they do their work, a successful business, who, when they adopt the right tool at the right moment, it will compound from there. Speed without capability doesn't get results. Capability without speed will catch up quickly once the capability is in place, and the results then are meaningful. I've been calling this moment the capability era, and basically it's kind of like a window when underlying capability, human, business, leadership, digital, outpaces speed of adoption as the primary determinant of small business outcomes. In the previous era, speed mattered. Getting something fast to market, first to digital, first to e-commerce, first to social. The competitive edge was in the moving fast. I think that era is closing. AI tooling is now really cheap, accessible, and rapidly commoditizing. Speed of adoption is a smaller and smaller advantage. What scales now is the capability underneath the tools. The business owner who can read a situation, decides clearly, design a system that works without them, develop the people around them, and integrate AI as a layer in a coherent business system, is the business who will capitalize. The capability era rewards depth rather than haste. And I think that's the era we're entering into now. Let me give you 3 reasons why you, in particular, may be well positioned at this moment. Number 1 is that capability builds, speed alone doesn't. The business owner working under constraint, using the conditions of an early stage business to build clearer thinking, sharper decisions, better operating rhythm, is essentially accumulating something that's durable. Every decision you make under pressure, is a capability. You're sort of depositing it in your capability banks. The business owner who's moving fast without that foundation accumulates activity. It often decays. And this kind of relates back to the Pfeffer and Sutton point that businesses that consistently turn knowledge into action are not the ones that move fastest. They're the ones that build the underlying conditions, the clarity of purpose, trust, feedback loops, action, discipline, the conditions that allow knowledge to translate capability in their language. In 2 years' time, the capability deposits that you put into your bank will be visible. The activity will not. Number 2, speed without capability creates complexity rather than output. So this happens when AI tools are put onto teams that don't have the underlying clarity to use them. Why are they using? What's the purpose? They're being told to experiment or use. The outlook may look impressive in the short run, more content or more emails or more automation. But essentially, a lot of what happens is that the team get more confused than ever before. There's a lot more content to analyze. There's a brand voice may have drifted. Customer experience may be more fragmented. And that's what McKinsey were talking about with the value realization gap. Adoption without underlying capability doesn't produce outcomes. It produces a lot of noise in some cases. Capability is what stops AI from being a complexity multiplier. You're not behind by going slowly whilst building capability. You're basically positioning to absorb AI properly when the time comes. And thirdly, identify yourself as a builder, and that's sustainable rather than as a catcher-upper. The I'm falling behind kind of framing can be exhausting for you. It puts you in this perpetual chase defined by what you don't have, measured against other business owners or other people whose situations you might not be able to see clearly. That I'm a builder, this is where I am, is the opposite. It anchors you in what you're constructing right now on your own timeline against your own previous self. If you get stuck framing yourself as falling behind, it burns you out. By framing it differently, you've got a greater chance of sustainable success. I talk about self-efficacy a lot because I think this is really important for people to understand. Two people with the same knowledge can have very different outcomes based on who they are as people and what they believe. The term is Albert Bandura's, and he formalized this in 1997 in his work, Self-Efficacy, the Exercise of Control. Basically, it's a belief that you can act combined with accumulating evidence of having acted. His research established that self-efficacy is fundamental to successful behavior change. We have to believe that we're able to do something in order for us to do it. And we've seen this in our own work as well. When we measured self-efficacy in business owners completing our programs, we measured at the start, at the end, we saw a gap. There was always a correlation between those who had measured or tracked with low self-efficacy and those that reached a certain completion point. What we found is that business owners with low self-efficacy at the start showed materially lower completion rates regardless of program quality. And this is why we include coaching and mentoring in every program to greatly increase your chance of successfully implementing change, transitioning, growth, or digital in your business. There are some traps we have to be careful of here too, though. The first is that hustle being a substitute for capability. The more you grind without underlying capability, the more output you produce. But each unit of output is built on a thin foundation. You might be able to sense this in your own work when something feels like it took effort, but it didn't move anything. And that feeling is that capability gap rather than an effort gap. You don't need to work harder. It's about working smarter. The second is collecting tools. Here's another app without developing the capability underneath. Subscribing to 7 AI products to stay ahead generally produces confusion and a fragmented workflow. What works most often is capability first, really clear decision rhythm, clear delegation of roles, clear measurement, clear understanding of what each of those tools does and how it contributes to the business. Then the AI tool compounds that capability, but the tools do have a way of pulling you in because of all of the glorious solutions they promise. When you're time poor as a business owner, you want to buy the solution, and this is what the tool offers. When other people recommend them, you think it's worth checking them out too. That is completely human. As a human, we just need to have that discipline to come back to capability first and know why you're going to get greater results from doing that first in the long term. The third is comparison to other people, other business owners at different stages. The business owner with fast AI adoption who is more established or in a later business stage is not ahead of you in a sort of meaningful sense. They're at a different stage with different problems. So you're kind of not in the same race. And the fourth is treating your business and the stage you're in as a failing state, and it isn't. When you're working hard to get more customers because you know that the few customers who do buy from you love what you do, is what we call the survival stage. It's an operating reality for so many small business owners. Most of the time, it's a stage where you're building the capability foundation that everything else sits on. You're doing a great job. You just need more people to be aware of what it is that you do. And you might not have gone to business school. You didn't learn business at school. So you've been learning as you go through trial and error. You're not failing. You're a business owner in the real world with more confidence and working on your capabilities and a belief in those capabilities. You'll be able to get to the next stage. So what do I recommend you do? Really think clearly about what you do know. Perhaps you know your customer's pain in a depth. What is it that you're here to provide? You might understand a way of doing something in a great amount of depth. Think about what is challenging you in your current business. Is it access to customers? Is it stabilization? Often it's not always what you think it is. A lot of the time, if it is that we haven't been getting the customers we want, it could be in the message. If it is about finding new customers or them finding you, it often feels tempting to use AI to generate content for your social media channels, but that isn't always the answer. From experience, it's much better to focus on that clear message of your value to a customer on a channel where there are fewer others competing for attention, and being smart about where that is. As small businesses, we have to do that with our resources and ensure we get the most back from the effort that we put in. And take it from someone who's been working in the digital space for over 20 years and AI for the last 6. AI-generated content is really easy to spot, and this is starting to turn some customers off. AI really should amplify you, your uniqueness, your awesomeness, what you have to share with the world. Your business doesn't have to be you personally, but your business. If you're just starting out or you're contemplating AI's role in your business, I'd encourage you to think about what you're really good at, your strengths, what makes you different, why your customers like you and what you offer to them. Think about how you can make their lives better through your business. Then consider where you are, your team and your business, and where they could benefit from being amplified. If you'd like a nifty tool to help you pinpoint your strengths and uncover your capability gaps, we have a complimentary diagnostic to help you called the Small Business Capability Gap. I'll link in the show notes. You won't get spammed with thousands of emails, however. We do recommend a 25-8 program for you on the results page. So, thank you for joining me on this episode this week. And if you do take one thing, know that you're not behind. I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for joining me on this week's episode of Make Time. Every week this season, we're going deeper on what genuine capability development looks like for small business leaders in the AI economy. If you found this episode valuable, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. To help other small business leaders, we'd love for you to leave a review or share this episode with them. And if you haven't done so already and want to know specifically where your capability gaps are, the 25-8 Small Business Capability Gap is our complimentary diagnostic tool. The link is in the show notes. It'll help you decide exactly where to focus so you can work smarter, not harder. And see you on next week's episode of Make Time.